Max Verstappen of Red Bull made a new Formula One record at the Mexican Grand Prix as he won for the 16th time in 2023. The three-time world champion dominated after taking the lead right away. Lewis Hamilton of Mercedes and Charles Leclerc of Ferrari followed him on the podium. Sergio Perez increased his burden by unnecessarily colliding with Charles Leclerc and crashing on the opening lap. Perez was desperate to get a result, and that's what finally caused him to quit the field early. An experienced driver like Perez should have seen that the space was not there after such a strong start. To win the war, one must sacrifice the fight. Red Bull must have seen enough, surely. Is it possible that this was Perez's final race with Red Bull? Is Ricciardo truly going to be a Red Bull driver for the next season? How about we investigate? Mexico was meant to be the turning point in Perez's career. Following a streak of 4 podium finishes and 15 victories without a win, Perez had all he needed to succeed, including the unwavering backing of his devoted home crowd. Perez's race-ending contact with his teammate was largely unintentional, but Verstappen's stifling talent is now the reason Perez struggles at every turn. Perez later acknowledged that if he had his time over again, he would take it easier and consider the battles that remained. He realized he was very greedy and desperate for a favorable outcome. However, he chose not to, and it cost him dearly. It's never nice to be involved in an aerial crash at the opening turn of your local Formula One race. However, nothing could be worse than what Sergio Perez has experienced. With a strong drive in Austin and a very strong qualifying performance here compared to Red Bull teammate Max Verstappen, he had just broken out of his funk. It could have been a wonderful way to cap off a challenging season. In an expected Red Bull 1-2 with Verstappen, his home race would be perfect for him to try and take second in the Drivers' Championship. Additionally, it would help keep Daniel Ricciardo at a distance, given the incredible qualifying effort made by the driver vying for Perez's Red Bull seat. Perez would undoubtedly play it safe in order to bring home a strong P2, right? Instead, a collision at the first corner ended Perez's brief comeback, and Ricciardo looked to be headed for a high-points finish after leading several faster cars for most of the race until a red light changed the pace of the race. Perez, though, was not involved in the restart. His car was flown airborne after he overly aggressively and awkwardly left Charles Leclerc little space, while trying to make it 3 wide on the outside of Turn 1. His race was run after hobbling back to the pits with a critically damaged car. He let his emotions to control him, destroying a full weekend's worth of effort for his side of the garage and giving Lewis Hamilton the opportunity to close the gap on him for second position in the championship. Red Bull intends to keep Perez on board till 2024. Perez wants to finish out his contract, but ultimately, neither of them may believe that is a feasible option. Verstappen's 491 points is enough to lead the constructors on its own, giving the team the luxury of domination this season. However, after a year and a half of dominance, the remainder of the grid may finally start to pose a danger in 2024. Ferrari secured a 1-2 in qualifying. Mercedes has focused on 2024, but is still competitive at the end of the year, while McLaren has made an amazing turnaround from backmarkers to podium regulars. 2024 may prove to be yet another year of domination, but can Red Bull claim Perez is the perfect guy to lead them over the finish line, if they feel their title is not as secure as it has been in recent seasons? Perez can undoubtedly be the Red Bull teammate Verstappen needs. His low points are just too low, and the Mexico race is as bad as it goes. He hasn't demonstrated it sufficiently. Ricciardo is also hinting that he might be able to handle the job more effectively after all. It's hard to imagine how their respective bids to be Verstappen's future teammates could have differed more this weekend. Perez's act of self-sabotage could therefore have major repercussions. If Red Bull believes Ricciardo is a certainty at the conclusion of this season, then it is naive to suppose that it won't act for next year, regardless of what it says about Perez's future, particularly if Perez is unable to secure the second position in the Drivers' Championship. Red Bull has the option to pay Perez off and replace him if desired. The competition is expected to be more intense in the upcoming season, and winning the world title is more important to them than any potential payout provision. However, Ricciardo is still planning to drive in 2025, even if there isn't a Red Bull Racing promotion for the upcoming season. For both drivers, this is a crucial test. As one driver continues to deteriorate and another keeps improving, Perez has given everyone, including Red Bull, ammunition to highlight the stark disparity between the two. What then did Perez say about his own errors? In hindsight, Perez said he could have averted the complete racing catastrophe that sent him hurtling into the air and ultimately resulted in his devastating first-lap retirement during the Mexican Grand Prix. "I had a tremendous start. The gap was there," Perez explained. "To be honest, since I was starting the race, I'd be really disappointed to be on the podium knowing that I had a chance to go for the lead, and I didn't take it. I just went for it. I wasn't expecting Charles. He was in the middle, and he had less room to maneuver and to brake as late as I or Max did. I think simply there was no room for three cars. It was a total racing incident. In hindsight, I don't know. I shouldn't say that, but in hindsight, I should back out and go home. I just wanted to give it all. Went totally for it. I'm very sad for the end result. To end the race on the first lap at your home Grand Prix is definitely really sad. On the other hand, I'm extremely proud of myself because I gave it my all. We left it all on the table the whole weekend. We had probably the best start of the year. We just went for it." Perez denied that his current problems or the pressure on his future with Red Bull had anything to do with his departure. "The result will come. We're back there. Our pace is there," Perez insisted. "We knew what was wrong. The results will come. I'm not concerned by it. I'm more sad about it. You see, with a lot of drivers, they have bad weekends when they're not fully comfortable. You see this weekend from Fernando Alonso, well out of the points on Sunday before retiring. It's not like Fernando is a bad driver all of a sudden. And he struggles to find the pace of the car. This is just part of the game." Furthermore, Red Bull principal Christian Horner is maintaining a supporting posture in the face of the criticism and recent failures. "Yeah, I mean, very contrasting," Horner said of the Red Bull duo's individual races. "Another amazing race by Max today. Total and utter dominance. But for Checo, just absolutely gutting home race. And he had a rocket ship launch and had so much momentum going into that first corner. You can't blame him for going for it to try and take the lead at his own race." Horner stated that the objective is to support him in his efforts to return the F1 veteran to form. "Look, he's got 13 years of experience in Formula One," said Horner. "And I think when you're going through a difficult moment, it's important to support him. And I think that he was having a great weekend up until that point, and he was going for the lead at his home race in Mexico City with a crowd that it's insane the amount of support behind him. And 3-1 doesn't go, and unfortunately he was just on the wrong side of it. Although the team has shown support for Perez, you can be sure that Dr. Helmut Marko won't be too lenient with him following this catastrophe. Even Marko, though, was kind to him. You can't blame Checo for anything. It's too bad we lost 19 points to Hamilton in the Drivers' Championship. How many times do I have to repeat this? Checo has a contract for 2024 and it will happen," he said. "Until the first lap of the race, he drove a super weekend, and I am convinced he would have been on the podium." How do you feel? Will the upcoming season feature Perez in a Red Bull? Or will Ricciardo and Verstappen reunite in 2024? Please share your opinions with us in the comments section below. With 3 races remaining in this season, the competition for P2 is becoming more intense. Let's go Brazil!